I am divorcing my wife because she got a massage. Received some very terrible news, and it seems to have affected my wife pretty heavily. My wife, Tara 30F, and I, Luke 30M, have been together for 6 years now. We met through some mutual friends at a Christmas party. We struck up a conversation, mostly about our workout routines, and before the night was done we decided to meet at the gym 2 days later. As it turned out, we both had memberships to the same gym. Just I typically worked out in the morning, and she worked out in the afternoon, so we had never seen each other there. We became gym partners from there. I switched to working out with her after work, and as you probably guessed, what started out as a platonic gym relationship turned into a romantic relationship within 2 weeks. Our relationship went pretty fast from that point on. We only dated for 8 months before getting engaged and were married about 13 months after. We have a ton in common. Besides prioritizing our fitness, we have the same taste in movies, love to try new restaurants, and are always down for a trivia night. Meeting each other's needs was also a big priority for each of us from day one. I have a high libido, and Tara was the first girlfriend I ever had that could, or even wanted to, keep up with it. On the flip side, she loves being massaged, calls it being rubbed on, and I am almost always happy to oblige. The biggest thing we had in common, though, was being a perfect match when it came to what we wanted our family to look like. Tara and I both wanted exactly 2 kids, the hope being 1 boy and 1 girl, but 2 of the same is also great. We also want to have them young. Our agreement was that her last day on birth control would be the day before our wedding. The thinking here is just that we want to enjoy our kids when we are still in top shape, the other being we would like to still be around for any grandkids, even if our children wait to have their own. While those are a couple of reasons for this, a more self-focused reason is that our kids would likely be out of the house by the time we hit 50, allowing us to focus more on each other in retirement. The plan was going great. We had to have gotten pregnant within the first couple of weeks after our wedding. The pregnancy went pretty well. Tara had the stereotypical issues such as morning sickness, swollen ankles, stuff like that. Celeste was born on December 8th, and we couldn't be happier. Over the past 3.5 years, she has been a source of constant joy for Tara and I. We waited for Tara to fully recover before trying for baby number 2. It was about 4 to 5 months. Tara had gotten right back into the gym once she got the okay from her doctor and was looking as amazing as ever. After getting a bit out of shape myself during her pregnancy and in the first couple of months following Celeste's birth, I also found myself in need of gym time. We made it work pretty well. Tara and I always had a healthy sex life throughout our entire relationship, and it was turbocharged initially when we started going for baby number 2. Honestly, I think we both thought we should make the best of this because she would probably be pregnant right away, just like after our wedding. That's when the months began to click on. We were still having sex regularly, but after the 5th month Tara decided to talk to her general practitioner about it, and they said it can take time. That typically most fertility specialists will say you should give it a year. So we did that. Towards the end of that year, I will admit the sex part was starting to feel more chore-like. I still enjoyed it, but a lot of the passion seemed to have evaporated and it became just part of the weekly routine. After that first year, Tara had her OBGYN do some preliminary tests. They came back relatively normal. We continued on for another 6 months of trying, being very diligent to do all the recommendations we got from our doctors. We were taking the right supplements, eating the right things, following the ovulation charts, having sex every other day, pretty much anything we were told. After some months of this, it was time to see a reproductive endocrinologist. Between initial consultations, basic appointments, follow-up appointments with less common tests, this whole process ended up taking around 7 months. By the end, we had figured out that we were both the problem. I have an extremely low sperm count. On top of that, what I do have is not the best. Doctor says my swimmers have low motility and most are not very viable anyway. Tara got very bad news too. She has some blockages in her fallopian tubes, making the path for both sperm and egg much more difficult. That wasn't it though. They did an antibody test and found that Tara's immune system was anti-sperm. Meaning her immune system was treating my sperm cells like they were strep throat and going for the kill on sight. During our last appointment, when we learned about the immune response, I just point blank asked the doctor how we managed to conceive right away despite all these issues. The doctor very bluntly said, "Honestly, your first child is a miracle baby. The fact you managed to conceive naturally at all was overcoming very poor odds. The fact you managed to have an issue-free pregnancy follow was even more unlikely, but it happened. I just sat back, so it was just a total fluke." He responded, "If you want to put it that way, yes, that child was born against all odds." We didn't give up at this point, the main option being IUI. We did 4 of these, but between the cost of the procedure and the trigger shot, none of which was covered by insurance and cost us $700 out of pocket. After 4 of those and no success, things were very tight. We didn't have much savings in the first place. The only option we really had left was IVF. The problem is that the whole process is over $20,000. It will take us forever to save up that much. We just work regular jobs and have 1 daughter already. Families aren't any different than us, they don't have the funds to send our way, not at once or in that sum. I told Tara we could start putting money away for that, but she seems to be in a state of despair over the whole thing. I know she didn't want to have kids after 30, and when she turned 30 she literally said out loud, "You have to get me pregnant this year." Began putting a little money away each month, but Tara turns 31 in 9 days and she told me to stop wasting my time. She says it's too late, and that our dreams are over and we just need to accept that. These last 8 months have been very trying. Tara has not been herself. She hasn't been going to the gym, and has indulged in comfort food more often than ever before. Our dates have become infrequent. They slowed after we had Celeste, but we still managed to get some alone time 2 to 3 times a month. Now it's more like once every 6 or 7 weeks. Our sex life has dropped off quite a bit. It's still there, but Tara seems to have this "what's the point" attitude anymore. I am doing my best to be comforting. She still lets me rub on her every night, so there is still some of that connection. I think that is helping, as generally speaking she will be receptive to sex, cuddling, or falling asleep together afterwards. I've suggested counseling, but she doesn't think she needs it. Celeste seems to be the only thing that really gets Tara up and seeming like her old self. I'm just hoping we can work through this disappointment. I know it's hard. It's been hard on me. We may not ever have a second child, but I think with a little time and a little work, we can be just as happy as a family of 3.